Welcome to THRS Deep Cuts. I'm Andrew.
I'm Brendan.
I'm Mick.
I'm Tim.
Here we are again to go through another episode of fun and joy and all this other stupidity that we're doing via isolation at the moment. So here we go again. Details are somewhere. If you're watching or listening, then just hit the links, follow it, and all that sort of stuff. They're on the screen as well somewhere too for you. Make sure you are following us across all of our social media channels. That will be the best way to keep up to date with us and get involved in audience polling and all that sort of stuff that goes on. We also have Patreon out there, so please do check out our Patreon page to get involved with things like early access and exclusive Zoom sessions, and we'll do reviews for you and stuff as well. And also a very special thank you to our wonderful sponsors in Squidding Screen Printing, Alt Cult, and Rockstar Finance. So please go and find them, follow them on social media. If nothing else, doesn't cost you anything, but it shows a little love for those that give us some love here at the show. Also, remember to tune in on Channel 31 and Channel 44 for your television fix of the Hard Rock Show. Saturday nights on Channel 31 in Melbourne at 10:30pm and Thursday nights in Adelaide on Channel 44 at 10:30pm as well. This week, we're going to go through the latest from Rockin Volts, Halestorm, Pink Cream, or a classic from Pink Cream 69, and also the latest from Testament. We'll have a hot topic to do with the upcoming AC/DC album. But before we get stuck into all of that, how is everyone going? How are you keeping on? Brendan, you've been having some fun today from what we were talking about earlier on. So how are you?
Yeah, look, having a ball, as much as a 45-year-old fat bloke on a skateboard can have on a Sunday afternoon, as I did. It's kind of funny the looks you get and when you're this age and this weight and bowling down the street on a skateboard. It was funny. So it was me and a mate of mine. This was just our exercise for the day. So we started on the short boards. We realised it was getting way too dangerous. As the day went on, skateboards were getting longer and longer, and I ended up in the electric one. That's how old I am. So.
You were saying last time we got together how much you love that board.
I do. It's awesome. But I got away with it without breaking anything or falling or hurting myself, so that's a win.
Yeah, that is a win. Yes.
It's a good start. How about you, Mick? How are you going over there?
Yeah, good, man. Work is now ramped up. As I touched on, we've started the move as of yesterday, and that was painful in itself and just begun. So tomorrow is going to be, this week, it's going to be so fucking awesome, And I say that with so much sarcastic vibe in my throat at the moment. It's never a fun time. I've done this twice before. But the way we're doing it this time, I think it's probably the worst way we've ever done it.
Okay. Wow.
So it should be a lot of fun for me. So if this is the last time you see me filming for the rest of the year, you know why. So
well, to get back for Christmas,
I just didn't make it in the end, moving workplace. So, but other than that, I'm doing all right, man. Same old, same old.
Yeah, cool. Tim, how about you?
Same old. Lucky didn't work today, so I didn't have to deal with daylight savings.
Oh, that's a good thing, yeah.
Which is, always a bonus.
That's good.
Because every year I hate this day, but it actually makes up for it when you get the extra hour of sleep. This is my favorite day of the whole year.
I don't think you're alone in that one.
That is special. Like coming out of
that extra hour is special.
It's fantastic. Time to get up.
It's a weird time too on a Saturday, 3 a.m, whatever it is. That's bizarre.
It used to be Sunday. I don't think that.
Mm-hmm.
They used to have to get up on a Monday with the hour less sleep.
Oh, fuck that.
What the hell? Yeah, when I was a kid, it used to be a Sunday. Like, whose fucking idea was that?
Yeah, I remember working and having to cop that. That was not a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
That makes so much more sense. Probably Dan Andrews. He's blaming him.
Oh, yeah, we'll blame him for everything else, don't we? So that's all right. Fuck. Oh, wow. All right.
How about you, Chief?
Oh, yeah, getting through it. I think physically it's getting better because the back's settling down now at last. So that's sort of working its kinks out, that individual flare up for no reason and sort of dissipating, which is nice. But I think mentally it's been a bit of a harder week this week. Not able to do as much, and sort of because the work's been a bit quieter too, it's like, okay, well, the days start to flow into each other, one another again. And so you get stuck, spending a lot of time on your socials and that does nothing good for your mental health anyway. So I just sort of try and stay off of it where I can. Sorry?
Nothing good this week.
No, it's been painful this week in particular, and just been some stupid things come out of that, which I'll get to in the bin later on.
I don't know. Friday afternoon on social media was quite fantastic.
It was glorious and hideous
Yes.
at the same time.
It brought out the best and worst of us all. There was some gold going around. That was Friday afternoon. I'll pay the tribute. That was funny, and also the Collingwood social media. That was funny last night.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
the
Even Kane Corns would have had a good night.
Oh, yeah. He can suck it as far as I'm concerned. Making up the numbers, my ass. But the best thing I saw in that regard was I don't know if everyone saw it, but there was a kid getting swooped by a magpie.
Yeah, that was clever.
Yeah.
And they stuck the Eagles logo on the kid's helmet as he was going by in the thing. So it was very well played. I thought that was very, very cool. And you could see that if we can keep going, they could make that a running theme for the rest of the year. But anyway, let's get on to the hot topic. Let's have some different kind of fun. Oh, okay. Well, Jody's going to run away. So
Streaker on the field.
Yeah. Okay, she's getting out of the way. All right, so the hot topic for this week or this episode is the hopes and fears when it comes to AC/DC's new album. This has come about because they've been dropping teasers, obviously, and everyone's raving about the lineup being back together and so on and so forth. So let's get into it. Let's go to you, Tim. Let's see what you think of this one first. What are your hopes and fears of this album?
I am hoping, honestly, for a lyrical reference to "I Can't Hear You" or something like that. But to be honest, AC/DC albums aren't complicated. I actually don't have too many fears for this. I think they're going to go and I think they're going to surprise people. Are going to be surprised by it. I think they're actually going to do all right.
Okay.
To be honest, I think they're a remarkably consistent group.
This is true.
Yeah, so especially with Phil Rudd back, it's a nice addition.
Yeah, Phil Rudd being back makes a bit of a different flavour to it all. What about you, Mick? What do you think?
Well, I think the positives is Brian Johnson and Phil Rudd being back in the lineup, and I think Cliff, what's his name, Cliff
Williams,
bass player.
Yeah,
I thought he retired, but he seems to be back too. So I think that's a lot of good to happen because there had been none of those guys, and not even a new singer or whatever would have not gone very well. Yeah. So however they've patched it up and what they've done, that's great. But to be honest with you, I agree with Tim and what he said. They are a consistent band, but for me, they've been consistently on the decline since whatever the album was after Razor's Edge. Razor's Edge was something up here. Yeah. And then everything after that, Ball Breaker and so forth, has just been just a little bit less and less and less. And I think the diehards will go crazy for it. Like any band that's been around for a long time, the diehards for the first week and a half go, it's the best fucking thing ever, more often than not. And then it will soon fizzle away. But I heard one of the teasers or whatever. It just sounds like what I expected. I wasn't, it didn't floor me. It didn't do anything, but it is crucial that they had those three elements back or those three pieces back, because otherwise this would have been a disaster either way. So having Johnson, Williams and Rudd back with Angus is a big thing. And who's the other guy? The cousin or the fucking nephew or whatever?
Yeah, Stevie.
Yeah. But jury's out on him. I don't know anything about him.
He's been in the band for a while now.
Yeah. So,
you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when does it drop anyway? Does anybody know? Or?
I think it's not too far away, actually. I'm thinking November, but I haven't heard anything serious about that yet.
It'll be just before Christmas or whatever.
Yeah.
So, doesn't faze me really. I won't rush out and buy it. I don't spend any more than $5 on AC/DC albums anyway. So,
all right, Brendan, what have you got to add to that so far?
I probably will buy it just because I've got the rest of them. You've got to complete the set.
Yeah.
Look, like with the last few AC/DC albums, when they're released, they're not anything I look forward to with any great anticipation. As much as I am a fan of the band, it's sort of like, another AC/DC album. Like, okay. And I've always been sort of a bit like sort of Mick. Anything after sort of Razor's Edge got a bit sort of sameish. But I've gone back and listened to them a bit and actually enjoyed them a lot more than I did the first time around. And
They're a grower for the
they're
series.
just good rock and roll albums. Not great, just fucking good. You know, and they've got a formula. They stick to it. They're not making any excuses about it, and they do their thing. I actually liked Rock or Bust. I mean, you guys all hated it. I thought it had a couple of ripping tracks.
I didn't mind it. I even liked
or whatever it was called, Alone. I thought that was a great tune. And, yeah.
Stiff Upper Lip's not a bad one either for mine.
Yeah, Stiff Upper Lip was good. I thought Ball Breaker was about. I thought Black Ice was okay. You know,
I liked that one.
So they're consistently turning out good, consistent albums. You know, like they haven't released anything that ever really that I would say is not worth a listen. You know, there's some albums that are better than others, but you know, they're all definitely worth a listen. So look, you know, I'll go in cautiously optimistic, and you know, like I said, I'll probably buy it. I'll probably enjoy it on some level, and you know, it's another AC/DC album. We'll get on with our lives.
Well, I'm going to second pretty much what everyone has said. I think they will be consistent. I don't think there's going to be anything bad about it per se. It's good that they've patched everything up. I think Mick made a very good point about the lineup being back together. If they'd have done an album with Axl Rose, I think that would have been the end of it.
That would have been stupid.
Yeah, I don't think that would be worth it at all.
They had a keyboard player, it would have been stupid.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing they could have done worse would be to get Dave Evans back in the band.
The keyboard player could have been Dizzy Reed.
Put Dizzy in. That would have been
Oh, fuck. So, the
if I hear a piano on this album, I'm going to be very upset.
No, they'll one up you and go for a harpsichord.
Yeah,
I do believe there's a cover of November Rain on it. So.
Oh my God.
Oh, I can't wait for Dave to review
Brian
that.
Johnson singing November Rain would be something else.
That would indeed be something else. I think, yeah, they are consistent, so you got to rely on the proof of it all. I think the lineup, having Cliff Williams come back in on bass was another good one too. So having Phil right back, Cliff coming back out of retirement for the album, and basically your only real change now is Malcolm Young, who for obvious reasons can't come back into the band. So I think they've got that part right, which is a good foundation. And I think that my initial concern is because you know they're going to be recycling a lot of riffs that have been kicking around that were written by Malcolm, you'd wonder how long that's got legs on it for before it sort of starts to really dry up and they're starting to really scrape the barrel. I reckon they've got a fair bit, but having the rest of that organic chemistry like Phil Rudd and that back in there will make that flow a bit better. They'll keep that spirit a bit better, if that makes sense. If you'd had a different drummer and a different bass player and trying to recycle these riffs, you wouldn't have the same impact as though you had the lineup you've got now, which is the vintage as close as you can get to it for this band for mine. So, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic like Brendan is. I think that they will put out a consistent album. I don't think it'll be anything barn burning. I think they're beyond that point now. I wouldn't actually mind hearing something a little bit different like what Stiff Upper Lip was. I wouldn't mind hearing something a bit different now they're getting a bit older. So, you know, what have they got to lose? They've already done everything. But I still think it'll be, another AC/DC album, and that'll be that. There'll be some good songs. There'll be some not so good songs. But I think there'll be some gems that'll make it stand the test of time 5-10 years from now. So they always have those. And I think that even if you don't like it on your first pass, like other ones we were talking about, like Black Ice and Stiff Upper Lip and that, you listen to them a bit later on, and I think they grow on you over time. Yeah. That's my take on it.
The biggest positive will be when we do, or when they are able to resume touring, there is a new album out. So it makes sense to go on the road as opposed to you did an album 2-3 years ago and now you're just resuming that tour from way back when. So there'll be more purpose for people to go because there's a new album, tour, whatever else.
And having Rod back in will boost that again too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. If nothing else, if it's a halfway decent album, we'll get a new AC/DC album in the clusterfuck of year that was 2020. So that, is something to look forward to, if nothing else. Well, speaking of AC/DC, let's go on to Rockin Volts. There is a segue there, and we'll get to that later on. This is Rockin Volts with their debut EP, self-titled, 4 tracks for 16 minutes. It's an Australian band, Melbourne band, released October 2019 independently, so we're a bit late on this one. It's produced by Chris Gatz. We are finally getting around to this one after we played their first clip, I think, a little while ago on the show, and they're one of the guys in the band has been a big fan of ours for quite some time. So he sent through an email hoping we'd get around to reviewing this one at some point, and this is the right format to do so. Let's go to Mick first. What did you think of this one?
I didn't know anything about this band. I thought this is probably going to be AC/DC, and sure enough, it was. Just by some of the titles, like Ball Breaker, and then I thought, could that be an AC/DC cover on that? And sure enough, Let There Be Rock, it was an AC/DC cover.
Yep.
But however, it's actually pretty good for the style, and I'm not huge on this style, and I've expressed that before in the past. But if you do like your pub rock, captured really well with a little bit of a slick overtone on the production, not too much, then this is definitely an EP worth checking out. It's straightforward. It's really good playing. I thought the solos and stuff were really good. The vocals seemed to suit the music. It was everything. You can see who they're influenced by, big time, you know. But again, it wasn't a carbon copy where you go, geez, that song could have been that song by this band, you know, other than the cover, which was done really well too. It was a nice little 4-track EP. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Nice.
The standout for me was Ball Breaker.
Yep.
But all 4 songs were quite good. I thought the album flowed really well, the EP. The songs were where they were supposed to be. So, no, it worked for me.
Cool. All right. Tim?
Yeah, look, this one's not complicated, you know. It's an Aussie pub rock album, but as Mick said, I thought this was quite good for what it is. Everything captured really well. I like the vocals as well. Got that shrieky kind of, I'm not sure how to describe it, but anyway, they stuck with me and they sort of stand out on there.
Yep.
Contrast to that chuggy guitar as well. This isn't reinventing the wheel or anything you haven't heard before, but I think overall it's delivered very well. Sounds good. So for a 4-track EP, it's definitely worth listening to. I think, you know, Ball Break was my highlight. I thought the cover too was a nice addition. A nice little way to cap that off as well. And a good choice for an AC/DC cover as well. Let There Be Rock. Yeah, so, 7 out of 10. It was a good listen.
Cool. All right. Brendan?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. I think these guys, and I could be wrong here, I think they've sort of doing it the old school way of being a cover band first and starting getting their own songs into their set lists and sort of going that way, which is, of course, the way it used to be back in the sort of 70s and early 80s, how bands sort of made their mark. I think they've done a really good job here. It sounds great. Like, nothing you guys haven't said. That pub rock really got sort of AC/DC, obviously, but very Rose Tattoo, I think, in the moment, you know.
Very Rose Tattoo.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. The cover of Let There Be Rock, to me, I think is an incredibly risky choice. There are some songs that I wouldn't touch. I mean, I'd happily play that on stage. I don't think I would have the plums to have a crack at that in the studio. And, there's a lot of songs like that. You know, there's Beatles songs, the Stone songs that I think I would just sort of leave alone. But they did the song service, and the hats off to them having a crack, because I wouldn't have the plums to do it. It's hard to improve on perfection. Look, it was pretty good. I actually like the opening track the best. I thought Rockin Volts was the song for me. I gave it 8 out of 10. I reckon they've done a great job.
Cool. Well, it's been covered. It's Aussie pub rock. If you like that, you're going to like this. If not, this won't change your mind at all. It's got the riffs, the rumbling bass, the pounding drums, the edgy, sort of raspy, higher-pitched vocal that does suit the style. It has all the traditional hallmarks of the genre. I thought there was some nice little bits of lead guitar work, though, which was cool on this. It didn't overplay. It just sort of did what it needed to do and did it very well. And I also thought the lyrics were well done. They fit the style perfectly too, nothing overly complicated. But, they didn't do anything that didn't fit. And that's probably more important than trying to do something different when you're in this style, if that makes sense. It's one of those ones that's been tried and true. It's, very well worn in, but by not reinventing the wheel and by getting it right, you fit comfortably on. Like, you're buying a new pair of jeans, but it feels like an old pair of jeans, if that makes sense. I like the mix. Just about the right amount of grit on this, not overly polished, which was good. It actually felt like a nod to the Let There Be Rock album in more ways than one, because of the sound of this one too.
Chainsaw guitar kind of.
Yeah, and it felt like a live take too. It felt like the band was playing in the studio. When listening to this, it didn't feel like it was tracked to the shit house. It felt like a band playing in a room and had that bit of looseness and fun energy. That vibe about it was really cool. It just feels like bands in a studio knocking out some of their favorite songs, which is cool to me. The cover of Let There Be Rock, is an interesting choice. Like Brennan said, I think it's a ballsy choice as well, and especially when there's only 4 tracks on the EP. You got 3 originals and 1 iconic cover you're going for. I think they did pretty well though, so credit to them. They didn't fuck it up. They did all right, so that's all right. Not a different take. It's pretty much a carbon copy kind of thing, but for that, all that said, it's pretty bloody good. Well done. That song being on this EP should tell you pretty much everything you need to know about this band right away. It's simple, straightforward, it's solid. It's a good start for this band. I'm looking forward to see what they do next. There's heaps of potential, but this is a very good, fun, and quick listen to. It's only a quarter of an hour. It's well worth checking out, so do so. 7.5 out of 10 from me. I picked Ain't No Woman and Ball Breaker as my standouts, but there are no dud tracks. The funny thing is, the more I listen to it, the more I would rotate through it, which ones I was going to pick as a standout. So they do stay with you. They're good songs. Good hooks in there too. Surprisingly good hooks, I thought. So from one EP to another one, we're going to go with Halestorm and the Reimagined EP. This is 6 tracks for 22 minutes, the 9th or 10th EP, depending on how you look at it, from the American band, released August 2020 via Atlantic. Produced by Nick Raskulinich, and the band have quite a few cover EPs, so it looks like they've decided this time around to cover their own stuff by stripping it down to virtually being an acoustic performance here. And let's throw to you on this one first, Brendan.
Right. I was terrified when I saw the track listing on this for a few things, because generally my biggest criticism of Halestorm is I think they overproduce. So when I saw Reimagined, I've gone, oh, fuck, what have they done? Because I thought they might have gone a very different way. Thankfully, they didn't. And I really like what they've done with most of the songs on this. In fact, I flat out would say I prefer these arrangements to most of the originals. I think, it really cuts through the vocal particularly. I think Lizzie sounds fucking fantastic.
Yep.
Particularly on I Miss the Misery and I Am the Fire, which are my highlights on it. They just sound better. Because it's not this layered vocal and this fucking wall of sound. They just actually sound like a band sitting there playing what are a couple of really good songs.
I Am the Fire was better on this one.
Yeah, definitely. But, I mean, it's a great song anyway. Like, it's a really good song, but it's more of a the album version is more of a kind of a pop rock anthem-y kind of thing. But this gives it a bit more grit, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. But as soon as I saw the words "I Will Only Love You" on there, I went, okay, fuck. I hope they're doing more of a Dolly Parton one than they are a Whitney Houston version. And I was crushed to hear it was a lot more Whitney Houston than Dolly Parton, because that song fucking sucks balls when Whitney Houston does it. It's an awful song. So, they performed it adequately, but it's a fucking awful song that done like that. So anyway, it cut me in half, and it ruined the whole bloody thing for me. I would have loved it if it wasn't for that. So if I can exclude that, I'll give it 9 out of 10, because I thought it was amazing. I reckon they've done a great version of their own songs, but that track just destroyed it for them.
Okay, so what's your score with it?
With it? It's a pretty awful song. It probably drops it to a 6. So it's a 9 without it.
Wow.
All right.
I hate that song.
I can tell. All right. Mick, follow it up.
This is the first time me hearing Halestorm recorded or a recording of. And I figured it might have been a stripped down and whatever. So I'm glad Brendan brought that to my attention, because that was the first thing I asked was, is this stripped down versions of their songs?
Yeah.
Other than a couple of covers. And it is. So I did go and see them last year, which was a great gig. I got a free ticket. That's the only reason why I went, because I don't really know much about them other than the name, to be honest with you. I agree she's got a great voice. I thought, and I remember this from the show last year, the Whitney Houston cover was awesome.
They did it live?
I thought it was really good.
Wow.
I liked her version of it. I thought she sang it really well.
Wow.
She didn't overdo it. She kept within her vocal style and stuff. I thought it was okay. you know. But having said that, a lot of the songs, and I haven't heard the original, so I can't compare to what they've done. But a lot of the songs didn't really do much for me. I prefer, they're one of those bands that I enjoy live, kind of like the Tea Party. Don't really like them on a CD or anything, but I go and see them live and I love it. Same deal with these guys. I didn't really get much out of this. I thought it was okay. Nothing groundbreaking. Wasn't a complete waste of time, but it certainly didn't go on my list to buy. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. The standouts for me were I Will Always Love You, Brandon, and I Am the Fire. I thought was good. So, but other than that, quite forgettable for me in a lot of spots. It sort of come and went, and I couldn't even tell you anything else. And I heard it today. So,
that's our first walk off while everyone's at home. So
I was just getting a beer.
All right, Tim, what about you?
All right, so on the cover, I understand it is a cheesy as fuck song. However, it does suit her vocal range.
Yes, it does.
Should have done Dolly's version of it.
Dolly's version.
Look, I don't know if Dolly's version will suit her range as well as this one does.
Transpose it, the style.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Again, the Whitney Houston version is the sort of version that will impress people who haven't heard this band before. So if anyone happens to come across it, it will generate a click. If that makes sense. And I think, from that perspective, I think, I can understand why they've gone for it.
It will impress people that watch Australia's Got Talent.
Yeah, but I mean, that's really the only people. But that's really the only people who left who don't know this band, and I mean, she's got a good enough voice that will impress them. On the EP though, I thought this EP was extremely good, with the exception of the track "I Get Off."
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that version of this EP sucked balls.
Yeah, the original's better of that one.
Yeah. The original's much better. To the point where I was listening to it and I thought, okay, the back half's really good, the first half sucks, but then when I listened to it again without I Get Off, I realized, no, I was just in a bad mood because of that track.
Wow. Yeah. This song is this EP has a way to piss off everyone at this point in time.
Yeah, which is incredible. But I mean, I'm dead serious when I say this. Without that track, this is excellent. Wow. I thought some of the arrangements were fantastic again, and it really does highlight the vocals. And I think her vocals are a real showcase point for this band. So I thought it was very good. Break In and I Am the Fire were my highlights. 8 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. Cool. So what would you have given it if it didn't have I Get Off?
Well, I can't really fault it after that. Like 9.5 or so.
Just while we're playing this game today.
I'll take off half a point because, the cover is cheesy, but I get it.
I mean, to their credit, they've made some interesting cover choices on the other EPs too. Like they did, was that Horrible Heart song? All I Want to Do Is Make Love to You or something?
Oh, yeah.
No one needed to hear another version of that.
No, but at the same time, they did Gold Dust Woman. That was amazing.
That was amazing.
That's my favorite.
They've done some brilliant covers. Like their cover EPs are really good. They're obviously. I mean, they're not singing the covers I want them to do. They're singing the ones they want to do, which they're well entitled to do.
Yeah. And it's a good way to keep churning over new stuff and keep the fan base engaged and all sorts of stuff. I get completely why they do these EPs.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
look, for a pandemic EP, this is a perfect thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something what Stone Sour did a couple of years ago too.
The Stone Sour one is awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah.
No, I was keen to hear what they were going to do here. Once you get into it and they're going to be stripping back their own songs, like they're covering themselves at this point in time, having heard what they've done with some previous covers, I was like, okay, this is hopefully going to be really, really good. It's not fully acoustic. They've tastefully added some things like electric solos, which gives, that a bit of a spark to it all. I think the production is flawless. Sonically, this is amazing to listen to. I loved every detail about it. There's great layering, ear candy in there because of the layering involved, the depth, the space, the panning, all those things that I go nuts about. This was all well done. This thing sparkled in all the right ways, but kept all its warmth at the same time, which is critical for this style of music. Execution-wise, from that front, was bang on, and Lizzie's vocal on this is nothing short of phenomenal. She's an amazing vocalist anyway, but in this setting, fuck, it worked. Those two things are the pure highlights for me on this. Those are the match-winning aspects of this, because around that you need arrangements when you're going to do this sort of style to make it interesting. And I didn't think it quite hit the mark with the arranging of the songs. I know that Brendan really liked it. Like the songs
I found it very
themselves,
bland.
the songs themselves were strong, but I don't think there was enough gear changes on it overall. It became pretty pedestrian. It's a good little cross-section of their career overall, but the pace overall, even though it's acoustic, I get it.
Yeah, ordinarily they do rely a lot on dynamics.
And it
and sort of once you take those dynamics away,
yeah,
they needed something else to kind of push and pull it along.
Yeah. And
I liked it, because it's normally...
Yeah,
normally all this stuff shits me.
Maybe, but for me, it missed a point of difference. And when the point of difference did come in, it was Amy Lee of Evanescence coming in to do
that was cool.
break in, and that for me was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was good.
But I am going to agree with Brendan.
I hated that.
No, I loved it. I thought that was great. The harmony there, even though their vocals are very much in tune with each other, I thought it was a great take.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. All right.
We all hate something.
We all do hate something. I'm gonna. Yeah, I know. But I'm gonna agree with Brendan. I hate the fucking Whitney Houston cover. It can fuck right off.
Yep.
That did nothing for me. It actually put a really big dampener on the whole thing, especially being toward the end of it as well. It was just didn't need to be there.
We don't need these two, Tim. We
no, right.
Show.
I'll go to a fucking Whitney Houston.
Tell the truth.
Oh, you can't.
We tell the truth.
Look, honestly, at the end of the day, considering their other cover EPs and the strength of their work up till date, this one hasn't grabbed me as much, and I've paid attention a lot to their work. It's well produced and well performed on, the technical side of things, but the songs themselves didn't grab me. If I'm going to listen to this, I'm going to go and listen to the I Get Off, the original version, much, much sooner than anything else on this, apart from maybe the break-in version. That's kind of where I sit. And, I Miss the Misery, the vocal needed that kick that, her vocal is amazing, but without the energy that came from that song, it just didn't quite get in. I don't know. It was still one of the better ones, though, because I'm the Fire was still flat by comparison as well, and Ms. Hyde was one that really suffered in the arrangement side of things, too. That didn't...
I like that, too.
I don't know. My highlights on this were Break In and Miss the Misery. It was just sort of, those are the ones I went for, and I've criticised one of those highlights. So, take that for what it's worth. It's worth listening to, but it's only going to be for the hardcore fans. I don't think if you're not a fan of this band already, this is going to do anything to change your mind at all. And you can have the cover on there, and I just don't think it is strong enough, to be honest, because... Yeah, her range is great, but I think Lizzie might have actually lost some of her range over the years as well. I don't know if anyone else agrees with me on that one, but yeah, her earlier range was stronger than the range we get today.
Yeah, but that style of singing, you're not going to last long, man. If you get 10 years out of that style of singing, you've done well. So if they've already been around about 10 years, it's all downhill for her now. But I was watching her last year, I'm going, there's no way she can last another 10 years in this business for what she puts herself through. It's not a natural thing that she's doing. It's very forced. It's good, but it's not what her voice does, so it's kind of like Axl Rose. That's all forced. It's only going to be at a really, really elite quality for a short period of time. Other than that, you're either going to like it or you're not going to like it. So
thankfully Dave's not here.
Yeah, well, probably a good thing Dave's not here this week. Look, all in all, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't riveting. There's other stuff of theirs I go and listen to first. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Break In, and I missed the misery of my standouts, like I said before.
And without the cover?
You're going to do that to me without the cover, I'll probably give it out an 8. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
An evil cover.
Yeah. Maybe a 7.5, but an 8. Yeah, it's all right. Let's completely change gears now. Let's go way back in time to Pink Cream 69 with the self-titled album. 13 tracks for 51 minutes. It was the debut album from the German band, released October 1989 by Epic. Produced by Dirk Steffens. We're doing this one as a part of the theme for this month, which the end of the month special is going to be Halloween. And so we're doing a few of the side projects that spin off or link into this band in some way, shape or form. So this is a band that's in the orbit of Halloween. And it's worth noting for the record that we're doing the bonus edition of this first. Who should I go to? Who wants to go first on this one? Let's have a volunteer to go first on this one.
All right. Well, mix up.
All right, Mick.
All right. I'd heard the name floating around, and to be honest with you, when you call yourself Pink Cream 69, you can go fuck yourself. All right. So I would never go and investigate your music unless I had to. All right. I put you in the Smashing Pumpkins category, and just stupid fucking names like that piss me off. So.
Careful, you're on fucking thin ice here, Mick.
I don't give a fuck what I'm on. So, to be honest with you, the worst part about all this is I actually enjoyed this album. So, especially the first half. The first half, like the first 5 or 6 songs are fucking great. The second half, debatable. It does drop off a bit, but because I had to review it, I listened to it and I was like, well, maybe I can like bands with shit names after all. I don't know. I thought it was good. I thought it had a heavy Van Halen influence musically with early Extreme, like that funky sort of riffy guitar stuff and flashy sort of vibe, very reminiscent of Eddie Van Halen and Nuno Bettencourt, I thought, a cross between. I did enjoy it. I thought it was fun. It was catchy. It was very 89, you know, like I knew it was old. I just didn't know when it was out. I didn't do any research on it, but yeah, it does fit the year or the era. I liked it. I thought it was great. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Take Those Tears, Welcome the Night, I Only Want to Be For You.
Okay.
Were my standouts, but there was probably a couple more that I could have added, but I just didn't because that was enough. So
cool. All right.
But yeah, Pink Cream 69, terrible
name. Not a good name.
Good album.
All right, Brendan, over to you.
We did their new album a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
The newest one at the time, and I hadn't heard the name either, and it is a god awful name for a band because it doesn't in any way suit what's going on.
Yeah.
I remember quite enjoying that album too, even though it was a lot more modern. So it was good to go back to this, this was their first, yeah.
Yeah, their debut. Yep.
Yeah. This is a bit of a beast. You can't. You certainly can't have a go at the performances. The musicians, like guitar work, drums, vocals, bass, everything is really dialed in. They're good. The only thing I feel with bands like this that didn't make them cut through is just the songwriting isn't quite at the same level of what their contemporaries at the time would have been. Yeah. There were some really good songs. They really know how to play. It's just it's lacking hooks. It's lacking impact. It's just lacking maybe that great intangible that you don't know when it comes to art that sort of would have elevated them to. But having a shit name probably also didn't help. But this is a really good album. Much like Mick, I sort of went, roll the eyes, they're going to fuck another Pink Cream 69 album, but really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. These guys can fucking play. Yeah, they can put it together. I would have loved to have seen them live in their heyday because I'm sure it would have been massive. But yeah, just like, and definitely, again, I found exactly the same as Mick. Second half really tailed off. First 5 or 6 tracks were right up there, and then it really sort of petered out a bit. But I got a buzz out of it. I gave it 7.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Rolling Down the Thunder and Welcome to the Night were my favourites.
Okay. All right. Tim.
All right. So as Brendan said, the playing on this is spectacular. In particular, the guitar work I thought was really tasty. Especially there was a lot of like little subtle hooks and licks, like sort of building up towards choruses and stuff that I thought were really cleverly done.
Yep.
And really added a nice little detail to this. Unfortunately for mine, I think the thing for this was, like, the common theme for this was it was just a tiny bit too long in every aspect.
Yeah, it makes
now,
sense.
what I mean by that is example, obviously, okay, as has been covered before, this thing tailed off as an album, so you're probably better off shaving a couple tracks. But like, there's tracks like Sugar for Love where like it almost feels like they're playing for a fade out.
Yeah.
And they just keep going and going and going and going. And it's just like, no, fucking cut that shit off. And like, there are tracks where, again, you know, like, it feels like it's one chorus too many, or it's one pre-chorus too many, or it's one just one go round too many, and I feel that's the common theme for this thing. I think
you've knocked my criticism right on the head, man. Yep.
Yeah, it sounds really good. I think the riffs are fantastic. I think the vocals are really good, and I think again there could be more hooks in there, but for what it is, it certainly does the job. But after a while, once you're listening to it, it just gets a little repetitive for every song. And then as it goes on the album, it's just kind of like a fucking, I'm counting towards the end by that point. So, I think being a little more self-critical for this release and, really leaving more tape on the floor would have been a huge improvement for this album. 7 out of 10, but it actually could have been a lot better. Just by being a little more critical.
Yep. No standout tracks or?
Welcome to the Night.
Okay, cool. Well, it's been covered off. This is straight out of the era. It's, your glam, your high-pitched vocals, the wailing guitar, all those trademarks, a bit of Van Halen about it as well. Like the early Van Halen, that attitude was trying to be captured here. It's got the big hooks, the tacky lyrics, the obligatory key changes. The deal. There is nothing... it's nothing new per se, especially when you know the era, but this is one of those ones where it's all about the hooks and getting them stuck in your head, which is why the repetitive chorus sort of thing kicks into it. That is going to be good or bad depending on your taste, and this one took a few spins for me to even get into. It wasn't the easiest one to keep me locked in on. I think it's a little bit time-stamped. It hasn't aged as well as a lot of the other records from the era as well. It still sounds pretty good. But if you're not a fan of the genre and the era, this isn't going to get your attention, I don't think. And there's, this is one of those bands that, while good, there's a reason why they didn't rise to the heights of the other ones, and that's demonstrated on their debut album. And that, it's a debut album, so you expect some things, but at that time, it was really competitive. So I think you needed to go and put your best foot forward. I don't think they quite did it on this one. Everything's well performed. The production is good, especially for the time. None of those elements are duds, and some of the layering on the mix was actually really, really cool. You've got everything you want. It was well in the track order, like you got the fast and the slow tracks. All those peaks and troughs are there. It's all done good, but it just falls down in the songs. It feels like a debut album being punched out when all this is going off in the world. None of it's terrible, but none of it was really the stuff that would cut through. And I think that's been borne out as the years have gone by. There's a lot of
12 albums now, though.
I know, and don't get me wrong, but they haven't become we've got two people here that never heard of the band before.
No, I'd never heard of it either.
Well, okay, so there's a reason for that.
Yeah. There is.
And for me, that's in the songs.
I would have banned them because of the name.
Yeah, well,
I knew the name.
And don't get me wrong, that name does not help.
Yeah, I said, fuck that as soon as I saw the name. I remember it way back when. I said, fuck all that.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a bad name because you're almost expecting Steel Panther.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
There's a lot of talent, but I just don't think it's clicked. It's not a question of talent. It's just a matter of I think Tim hit it right. Just trim the shit. It'd make it a lot better if they were self-critical.
It sounds like it's every song they've ever written and they wanted to record them and put them out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where you could have taken 4 or 5 off.
Yeah. And made this a really
and
strong.
made a much more concise album, without the editing. And then the editing on top.
Maybe.
Like Tim was saying.
I do agree with Tim, though, that some of the songs do get a bit repetitive at the same time, though. It's like they're just dragging one loop too many out of it to try and get that crowd anthem moment going, and it doesn't work on a record like this. I think it's one of those ones that's good background music at a party, but it won't convert anyone to the band at the same time. It's got good songs, but nothing great, and that's where it's sort of, it's worth a listen if you're curious or a fan of the band, so to speak, but nothing really gripping for me. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Hit the Bottom Row, Child of Sorrows, and One Step into Paradise were my standouts on this. So now we get to move on to...
The build-up for that. Oh, God.
The heavyweight bout of the evening, the headline event is going to be Testament with Titans of Creation. 12 tracks for 58 minutes, the 13th studio album of the American band, released April 2020 by Nuclear Blast, produced by Chuck Billy, Eric Peterson, and Juan Ortega. This is the first time the band have put out consecutive releases with the same lineup since 1992. Fuck me dead. There we go. Tim, over to you.
All right. This is the best this band has ever sounded, in my opinion.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
To be honest with you, I don't think this band actually sounded good until they released The Gathering in 2000. I mean, prior to that, they've always been kind of shittily recorded with average lineups. And, there's always the first time they had a good drummer on that album. And
Yep.
this is spectacular. I think Chuck's vocals are phenomenal. His ability to have that kind of harshy scream, but kind of not run everybody off.
Yep.
Is beautiful. He's not too high pitched either, and it sits well with those chunky guitars. I thought the way the bass was recorded on this was a real highlight. And playing on it was I don't know who played bass on this, but
yeah, don't know.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. The tone, just that nice growly, raspy thing that just sounded beautiful.
Yep.
But the thing that I loved the most of this was the melodies. There were, for me, listening to this, like the first time I heard this when it came out, World War III was just stuck in my head for weeks. So I could not get it out, and it was okay. And there are other tracks on there like this, Night of the Witch, Dream Destroyer. They're just catchy songs, and they're all fantastically well written. And I think the beauty of this too is it's not like the Havoc album where it's like, okay, this is just a thrash album, it's thrash heads and other. I think if you're into Rockin Volts and you're into solid hard rock, you could possibly get into this as well, because there is enough laid back fatback grooves in here as well.
Yep.
It's not all playing a million miles an hour and blowing everyone's heads off.
Yep.
So this is a very good band. Somehow still getting better. So yes, World War III was my highlight. It's still my highlight. It's still a great song now. And 9.5 out of 10. Which is really good.
Cool. Oh, well, Mick, over to you, because you wanted to do this one. So this is one you put forward for us. So what did you think of it?
I only put quality forward, Andrew.
Got to pass the Mick test.
I'm a little bit different to Tim, but I, for the majority, agree with what Tim just said. But having said that, I'm finding the band's falling into a little bit of a formula now with their songs that ever since Formation of Damnation onwards, it's almost very similar, just their writing approach and stuff like that. So if you do like that, you're going to love this album.
Yep.
Having said that, I've thought they've been consistently getting better since 1994's Low album. For me, that was a big turning point in the band. Before that, that was sort of like a run-of-the-mill band and used to cop a lot of flack for productions and being a Metallica junior band and stuff like that. That's where they really found their feet. And since then, they've just morphed into something else. They, like Tim said, they are getting better. They're getting more creative with their writing in terms of it doesn't have to be brutally fast all the time. It can be laid back. It can be groovy, some breakdowns, some cool dynamics in general. It's a fantastic album. It also helps having the same lineup.
Yeah.
Now that they've toured 3 or 4 tours together, that really helps when you go to start making a new album, when you know what Gene Hoglan's capable of, for example, on the drums. And then he can add his little bit, well, why don't you do this and do that because of his experience? And then it just filters all the way through. And this does sound like they did a lot of self-editing before they went to the studio to put this one down.
Yep.
Nothing sounds too long. Nothing sounds too short. It's, for lack of a better word, not written for metal radio or anything. The songs are as long or as short as they need to be.
Yeah.
I don't feel like anything was lost. I thought, geez, this is a fantastic album that I thought was going to get lost, and it has been getting lost due to this pandemic that we're in.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's dead and gone, and it's only been out a handful of months, but it feels already 3 years old, unfortunately, with the way this year's gone.
Yeah.
I gave it a 9.5 out of 10.
Cool.
The only thing that stopped me from giving it a 10 was it had a lot of similarities to Brotherhood of the Snake, I thought, in terms of writing. I didn't see a lot of growth between that album to this album. Having said that, I think this is a stronger album than the previous. So,
cool.
9.5 out of 10. World War III, Dream Deceiver, City of Angels, and I had to add Symptoms because, of everything that's fucking going on. Everything's a fucking symptom this year of something. So production was fantastic. I mean, a band like Metallica could really learn something from an album like this, because you put this up against Hardwired and this blows it out of the water again. This is how I expect Metallica to sound. And they're not doing it, haven't done it since the Black Album. Yeah.
Cool. Brendan?
I don't think I'd bought a Testament album since The Ritual, which was, 93, 2?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's early 90s. That's 92.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Now, I saw him live at the ESPY. Must have been 5-6 years ago, I think.
Yeah. On the back of a sideshow, wasn't it?
Yeah, Sidewave. And it was originally going to be Megadeth and all kinds of stuff. And ended up being Testament and King Parrot, I think. And they blew me away that night. They were great, but I still didn't go and buy more albums, which is obviously shame on me. This is a phenomenal thrash metal album. I was actually... It stopped me in my tracks. I sort of got to a few tracks and went, hang on a minute, and sort of started again because this was way better than I anticipated. And that's purely my own fault for not listening to more Testament albums over the last 15, 20 years. This is amazing. And much like Mick said, it's the sound more than anything else. When the first chord hits, you're sort of like, Jesus. It's such
Children of this level is a brilliant opener.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just great. Loved it from start to finish. I couldn't have a bad word to say. One of the best thrash albums I've heard since Worship Music. And that might make me sound like an old fart, but, comparing to...
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah, it's up there. It's amazing. I also gave it 9.5 out of 10. False Prophet, World War III, and Children of the Next Level. Amazing album. Fucking love it.
Well, I think everything that anyone can say has been covered off in this, but I'll give it a go anyway. If you like old school thrash, this is for you. This band have a very large catalogue that I'm greatly overlooked and need to investigate much further. Not a band I'm all over. I think we need to do a special at some point. It's been requested before about an alternative Big Four, and I think these guys are probably one of the bands for an alternative Big Four of thrash. It's riff-driven, it's pounding, all those things. Got a nice dose of melody to go with the energy. So I think Tim mentioned the melody on this as well, which is really cool on this. I liked the production. This sounds great. It's a really warm mix. Nothing is overcooked. For how busy this gets, it punches all the way through, but it doesn't clip. You can hear absolutely everything, which is fantastic. The way they pull back and let each element take center stage at different points in both the writing and the production is also a really good trick on this one. Some nice hard panning. So it's got the old school aspects along with, the modern sounds. And it's done really, really well. Well, Nala is just, I don't know, she's clamoring for attention tonight. I love how clearly the lyrics come through, and that's another trick that could have been left behind, but the attention to detail on every aspect of this is really refreshing for a record like this. The whole thing is just nice depth, layering, really well done. And I love, on that note, the lyrical craft. I thought there was some fantastic work there. They're not shy in giving their thoughts on particular issues. There's some very topical lyrics in there. Great storytelling to go with it. Very well done. In your face. Really nice. Some very tasty lead work, but I did really enjoy the rhythm section on this. When they break down into the groove, it's just so fucking cool. It's just when they're kicking you in the head, but it's got that swing to it. It's got everything you want out of that sort of stuff, and that's where I really fell into this album in particular. It doesn't need to be fast to be heavy, and this is an example of that for mine. This isn't tame, though, which is cool. Like, it still has more than enough kick. Like, you can say what you want about not being fast, but it's still heavy. It's not a soft album. Some fantastic gnarly tones on this, too, that go really well with the gravelly vocal. I think Tim mentioned, again, the bass tone on this, how there's this really gnarly warmth that just rumbles through on this thing. It sounds really good. I think the only downside I give it is the overall length and pace. It just dragged a little bit by the end of it for me, but it is very good. It just needed a touch more diversity, or maybe a switch in the track order a little bit, just to break it up a little bit for me. But if you want an album that isn't too fast or too slow for that point either, then this will hit the spot for you for sure. I really enjoyed it. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I think our standouts are pretty crossed over pretty well here. I got World War III as well, City of Angels and Dream Deceiver as my standouts on this one too. So if you want a few tracks to check out and see if you like this band, then I think we've given you a few here to go over and let us know what you think of this one as well. But that concludes proceedings for this week's episode of Deep Cuts. So, as always, details are there for you, either on the screen or in the description of this episode. Make sure you go and follow us, do all those things, and get involved in the audience polling, especially at the moment, because we're trying to do a best albums order of Halloween at the moment. So get involved on that one. Also, please check out our Patreon page. If you want to get involved and give us a little bit of support, it'd be greatly appreciated. You can go from as little as $2 a month up to whatever, and you get early access to our stuff. You get Zoom sessions, one-to-one stuff, reviews for you, and all that sort of stuff as well. And a very big thank you to our wonderful, fantastic sponsors in Squidding, Screen Printing, Alt Cult, and Rockstar Finance. Thank you so much for your support. Please do check them out and give them just a bit of love on social media. Give them a follow. They're not going to spam you. Believe me, I wouldn't encourage you to check them out if they did. They're actually really good on their socials. So check them out, give them a follow, see if there's anything there you like, and give them a bit of support for supporting us here at the show. Again, remember to tune in to us on television as well. We're not just online, so follow us on Channel 31, 10:30 p.m. on Saturday nights in Melbourne and Geelong, and then Channel 44 in Adelaide on Thursday nights at 10:30 p.m. as well. And our next special at the end of the month is going to be Halloween for Halloween. We haven't done a Halloween special before, so it's the first time going through the discography for us on that band. And in our next episode coming up soon, we'll focus on the latest from Corey Taylor, Devil Driver, and Australian band Vessel. That's coming up in a few days' time. But now it's time for our favourite part of the week, where we get to have a little bit of fun and see who's pissed us off at the moment. So let's go to the bin, and let's go to Mick first for the bin this week.
I wish you didn't, because I'm really not that more pissed off than I have been for the last 6 months.
Well, do you want to wait and go a bit later on?
I haven't got...
True.
Hey? Well, to be honest with you, you know what? Off the top of my head, I'm going to put the Richmond Football Club in the bin. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to put them in the bin, because they were fucking giggling before the game and carrying on and looking very cocky and confident with themselves before the game down the race, especially Mr. Cochin. And he didn't look like he had a problem in the world. And you know what? That's what probably got you beat in the end. So maybe pull your heads in, and there's still a couple of games to win before you win the big one. So Richmond, fuck off, all right, because you've won 2 in 3 years. Haven't won 3 yet. So just get your head back in the game and, turn up next week and see what you can do.
All right.
I did that before the 2017 grand final, mate, with Adelaide were doing the power stance.
I banned Adelaide after that. I was hoping I'd lose by a good...
I've been doing that for years, mate. That's their vibe.
No, I don't like it. It's
all right, bro.
it's shit. It's everything that Richmond thinks is as a suburb. So, fuck that.
Awesome. What are you talking about? Working class Richmond, mate. This is bloody,
Yeah, it's not working class anymore, mate.
Shut up. Hasn't been for quite some time, mate.
Upper class junkies.
Heroin is environmentally sourced.
The heroin connoisseurs around here, mate. They're not junkies. Heroin connoisseurs.
All right, Brendan, you want to retort to that one?
No, I'm not going to retort. He's not far wrong. No, well, he is. No, on that particular case, he's far wrong. But it was a fucking great game of football. There were 4 great games of football, so let's just enjoy that, because there's been some shit football all year.
There has been this year.
I'm gonna go back to the one with a really shit, boring one, but I'm throwing Triple M in the bin again.
Oh, wow.
For the 348th time.
Well, it's been about 5 months since we've done last.
Yeah,
so
I think so. But
we're overdue.
What have they done now?
Well, they're actually showing that they are capable of playing new music. They're playing the Pretty Reckless at the moment. This is their new track called... I
don't know.
Oh, fuck. Rock and Roll. Fucking... Death by Rock and Roll, it's called.
Okay.
It's a fucking great rock song. It's not groundbreaking, but it's a really good rock song by a new band that no one's ever heard of. And I was actually driving the ute at work, and I'm here, and I'm driving, and I'm listening to Triple M, and there's a new song that I've never heard. And I went, wow. Just that alone.
Yeah.
I that was a lost demo of 1995. They don't play anything past 1995.
Mate, even there, you're being finished. But it was a song I hadn't heard in the middle of the day. I heard it a couple of days in a row, and I'm going, holy shit, they are capable of this. Pricks.
It just makes you angrier again.
They just refuse to do it. So here we are, 6 months into a pandemic. They've done fuck all for the Melbourne music scene. So once again, they can suck my balls.
And the tweet that we got involved with them on, and they were talking about trying to get the best information for COVID out there. That's aged well, hasn't it? A bunch of fucking idiots. Anyway, I'm not happy with that.
As good as the COVID Safe app.
Yeah.
Yes. Very much so. That's a very good way.
Yep. You know,
I reckon. Yep.
That worked so well for us in the end. So you know,
I feel safer already.
Yeah. All right, Tim. What have you got for us?
Supermarket hand sanitizer that smells like shit. Look, I understand that we're in special times. I understand
special times have special needs.
Yeah, and I get we all got to do this, but fuck, like, sometimes you put this thing on your hand, you go shopping, and you go back in your car, and you can still smell this thing, and it just smells like fucking, like, toilet fucking
urinal coat.
Like, it's just fucking stinks. And I hate, like, they really got to fix this problem because I can't take that smell anymore.
Yeah, cool.
But it's disgusting.
We'll get Jody to curate
the best sanitizer of all.
Yeah, we'll get Jody to curate some especially fragrance sanitizer.
Oh, it'll be a vast improvement.
Oh wow. And that's the event. That's my
event. Supermarket hand sanitizer that smells like shit.
Cool. All right, I've got a serious one, then I've got a fun one to go afterwards. So the serious one is Channel 7. They can fuck right off as far as I'm concerned. There are two things this week alone that have caught my eye over the last few days, actually. One is a news headline about how we all need to be terrified of our backyard swimming pools because children haven't been able to get out and get their regular swimming lessons. Fuck off. If that's what you're leading with as a news headline, just go and get fucked. We don't need any more reason to be afraid, especially when it's something as concocted as that. And speaking of concocting the news, that St Kilda beach thing they crossed live to the other day, one, fucking brilliant going to a live cross with that, but two, the reporter. Now, when the funny thing about social media these days is that what happens is that the reporter goes there, turns up with the camera, and so other people on their phones start filming you. There are multiple videos and multiple angles of that reporter getting involved with the people there, dancing and carrying on and getting them jumped over him and all that sort of stuff. And that's all before the live cross. So he's a fuckwit for being there in the circumstance and then geeing them all up to get more involved in it just for a news live cross. So Channel 7, fuck you. We do not need this shit. And if you wonder why people are hacking at journalists at the moment, it's because of shit like that we're all having to go at you. Yeah. And for the fact that the journalism fraternity does not call this shit out on their own merit means that we all will bin them all at the same time, no matter how good you are, so they can all fuck off. And for the fun one...
I do believe they gave coupons to the shit-smelling sanitizer.
The Triple M Black Thunders were there giving out icy cold cans of Coke. So it was,
I don't see the big deal. You know, you get it. As long as you're 1.5 meters away from the shitty smell, you know, you'd be okay. So
maybe that's the thing. Maybe the smell of the sanitizer is to keep people 1.5 meters away from each other. I don't know. Maybe it's just, a deep state fate, hack in there for us. And my fun one, because I can this week, is Kane Corns. Fuck you. Collingwood, pick up the numbers. You can fuck right off, you hack. I know you're there to do some genuine, shit stirring, but this time around, eat a dick. That's pretty much that for me. So I'm going to close on that note. So thank you to you guys for being a part of this episode tonight on a Sunday as we film this one. We haven't done many Sundays before, so this is a bit of a different one for us. And thank you to everyone out there for tuning in and paying attention to our antics for however long this has gone for. We're somewhere near the hour mark, I think, for this one. But it's been good. It's been fun. Thank you again for joining in and having some fun with me tonight. But we'll see you all again very, very soon. Until then, I'm Andrew.
I'm Brendan.
I'm Mick.
Tim.
Until next time.
Drink up.
Rock on.
Rock on.
Rock on.
Rock on.
Sanitize.
Fuck, I need a piss.
I'm keeping that. That was good fun.
Always is. Always is.
Yeah.
I thought we agreed on the intermission piss break, though.
Oh,
Didn't
Christ.
say anything.
You didn't say you needed to do anything, so it's like...
Because you keep going. There's no chance of intermission.
Okay, fine. I'll make a point, Brendan, and make sure you remind me next time that you need it.
No, well, how? How am I supposed to do that?
Before we start filming, remind me.
Oh, okay.
Like, do you know what I mean? So remind me at the start. Go, remember.
When I go red in the face, you know that I need a break.
And the last time we talked about this, you were talking about getting the Crown Casino trick going for yourself. So, you know.
Yeah, that's not a good idea. I looked into catheters. They're not as cheap as you might think.
Probably not as comfortable.
Not that big of a fan of DIY?
No.